You spent weeks building your website. A few months later, you applied for Google AdSense. Boom, rejected. Then you discovered that Google AdSense has policies and requirements you should have followed from the beginning. So what did you do? You rewrote your entire website from scratch. After weeks of work, congratulations, your site finally got approved for Google AdSense. But then, boom, another problem hit. You checked your analytics, 100 visitors a month, your AdSense earnings, 1 cent. That is when you realized the real problem was not AdSense, it was your niche. I know that feeling because I went through the exact same thing. That is why in this video, I'm going to show you how to build a blog from start to finish the right way, optimized for Google AdSense from day one while avoiding the mistakes that cost beginners months of wasted time. More importantly, I'll show you how to choose a high CPM niche with real earning potential so you are not working for pennies. So if you are starting a blog in 2026, this video could save you months of frustration and help you build your website the right way from the very beginning without writing a single line of code. And the best part, we'll do it with open source tools that anyone can use for free. We'll start with Google Gemini to brainstorm ideas, define the requirements, and create all of the project's planning artifacts. Next, we'll use Google Stage to design a beautiful user interface and generate the layouts for every page before we start development. Then we'll move to Antigravity, an agentic development platform which will use the Stage MCP integration to generate the application's web pages. Finally, we'll use OpenCode, the open source AI coding agent, to bring everything together by building the front-end components, implementing the backend logic, setting up the database, and creating the complete admin dashboard. Using this powerful combination, we'll build a beautiful SEO optimized blog that is designed for AdSense monetization, so you can publish, grow organic traffic, get approved for AdSense faster, and start earning money from your website. By the end, you'll have a fully functional production-ready blog website built with a modern agentic development workflow. So, are you ready? Let's dive in. In 2026, one of the biggest opportunities to earn income online with AI is by creating content. And one of the best ways to do that is by building a blog. Here is how it works. Every single day, millions of people search for answers about technology, finance, health, programming, and thousands of other topics. Some people search on Google, others ask AI assistants like ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini. Google returns a list of websites, and even AI assistants frequently link to helpful websites as sources. If your website provides the answer they are looking for, they will visit your blog. And once they are on your site, you can display ads using Google AdSense. When visitors view or click those ads, you earn money. How much you earn depends on a few factors, including your niche, where your visitors are located, and how well your website ranks on search engines. But here is where most people fail. Building a blog is not enough. If your website doesn't follow Google's quality guidelines, SEO best practices, and access requirements, there is a good chance your monetization application will be rejected. Or worse, your website might never get traffic. So in this video, I'll show you how to build a professional blog that is designed from day one with Google AdSense and SEO in mind. Once you made it, all you have to do is consistently publish valuable content and optimize your website for SEO so Google can recommend your articles. So we will use agentic development tools to build a complete full stack application from scratch. Then We'll deploy it online with Vercel, so your website can go live and you can start publishing content immediately. By the end, you'll have a fully functional blog website, but more importantly, you'll understand the complete process of building full-stack applications using modern AI-powered development workflows. Because AI can now help us build applications faster, it doesn't mean software development has changed. The fundamentals are still exactly the same. You still need to understand your users, define your features, design your architecture, and plan your project correctly before delegating tasks to AI. AI is a powerful assistant, but it can only execute effectively when you provide clear goals, proper requirements, and the right direction. Otherwise, you can quickly end up with a messy code base, unnecessary features, poor architecture decisions, and a project that becomes difficult to maintain. That is why the first step is not coding. The first step is planning. I'm going to show you how to properly plan your application using Google Gemini. Gemini is Google's AI assistant that can help you brainstorm ideas, analyze requirements, define features, create technical plans, and structure your project before development begins. The goal of this video is to use free tools as much as possible. Of course, you can use other AI assistants like ChatGPT or Claude, but for this tutorial, we will be using Google Gemini because it offers a powerful free version that gives everyone access to AI-assisted project planning without requiring a paid subscription. So the first thing we are going to do is go to gemini.google.com and sign in with your Google account. Then click on New Notebook. Before we continue, let's quickly understand what a notebook is in Google Gemini. A notebook is simply a dedicated workspace where Gemini keeps all the information related to a single project. It stores your prompts, sources, files, links, and conversations in one place so the AI can better understand what you are working on and provide more relevant responses over time. When you create a new notebook, you'll be asked to describe what you are working on. This is simply a brief description of your project to help Gemini understand your goal from the very beginning. Next, you'll need to choose a mode. You have two options: organize your ideas or study and learn. The mode you choose changes how Gemini formats its responses, templates, and tools to match your goals. That is why it is important to understand what each option does. Organize your ideas. This option is best for brainstorming, planning projects, and managing creative or work-related tasks. It is great for planning an event, outlining a book, managing a project, structuring a business strategy. The second option, study and learn. This option is best for education, academic research, and developing a deep understanding of complex topics. It is great when you are preparing for an exam, reading dense text books, learning a new language, or understanding research papers. In our case, we are planning a blog project, so we will choose organize your ideas and move on. Now we have our notebook title, and right here we have the Add Sources button. This is one of the most powerful features because it tells Gemini exactly which documents, links, and files to read so that its sensors are based only on your trusted information instead of random information from the internet. At this point, the AI doesn't know anything about our project yet, so we need to provide that information ourselves. There are several ways to add sources. You can upload documents stored on your computer or phone. You can also use Add from Drive. This is best for Google Docs and Google Sheets because they stay linked and update automatically whenever you make changes. You can choose Add Websites, which is perfect for articles, research papers, documentation, or even YouTube videos that you want Gemini to analyze. Finally, there's Copied Text, which is great for quickly pasting snippets of text, emails, notes, or random ideas. For now, we don't have anything to add. We'll gradually add documents as we build the project. Now we are going to write our first prompt. A prompt is to a large language model LLM what a thought is to a human brain. If you constantly put bad thoughts into your brain, you'll eventually develop bad habits and behaviors. On the other hand, if you feed your brain with positive thoughts, like always keep learning new things, those thoughts can positively influence your career and help you create more opportunities to earn money. It is the same idea with AI. That's why learning how to write good prompts is extremely important. However, the prompt you write always depends on what you want the AI to accomplish. In our case, we want to build a blog optimized for Google AdSense. So the first thing we need to do is tell the AI to act as an expert, niche blogger, and a Google AdSense specialist. This is called a persona. A persona is simply a role, character, or identity that you ask the AI to adopt. Whenever you ask an AI to do something, you should specify the persona. Why? Because you will receive answers that are more accurate, more relevant, and much more customized instead of a generic summary collected from across the internet. When you specify a persona, it forces the language model to ignore millions of irrelevant facts and focus only on what matters for your specific situation. In our case, we are not defining just one persona. We are defining two: expert niche blogger, Google AdSense specialist. An expert niche blogger is someone who focuses exclusively on one highly specific topic known as a niche. A niche is simply a highly specific, specialized section of a larger market or topic. When Gemini acts as an expert niche blogger, it focuses on several important things. First, targeting low competition keywords. It helps us find specific questions that people are searching for on Google, but that very few websites have answered well. Since there are thousands of blogs online, we don't want to compete directly with huge websites. Instead, we want to target smaller, less competitive audiences where it is much easier to rank and attract visitors. Gemini will also focus on search engine optimization, SEO. It will show us how to structure our articles using the right keywords, headings, and page formatting to maximize our chances of ranking on Google. It also focuses on audience engagement, helping us write high-quality, engaging content that keeps readers on our website longer. Finally, it helps with content planning by creating a roadmap of articles that demonstrate to Google that our website is an authority on our chosen niche. This is exactly what we expect from our expert niche blogger persona. Our second persona is the expert Google AdSense specialist. Google AdSense is Google's advertising network. It allows bloggers to display automated text, image, and video advertisements on their websites. The blogger earns money whenever visitors view or click on those ads. When Gemini acts as a Google AdSense expert, it focuses on several key areas. First, high-value keywords. This helps us identify topics that advertisers are willing to pay a lot of money for. Next, it focuses on ad placement strategy. This teaches us exactly where to place ads on a web page to maximize clicks without ruining the reader's experience. Then there is approval optimization. This helps us structure our website's layout, privacy policy, and content quality so that Google AdSense is more likely to approve our website without rejecting it. Finally, it focuses on maximizing revenue, RPM. RPM stands for revenue per mile, or the amount of money you earn for every 1,000 visitors. Gemini helps us optimize our website to maximize that revenue. This information is a gold mine because today everyone has access to the same AI. The real advantage is no longer who has AI and who doesn't. The advantage belongs to the people who know how to prompt the AI correctly to get better results in a specific domain. And in this video, we will go through several different domains, including SEO blogging, UI UX design, full stack development, and deployment. Each domain has its sole persona that you should use to get the best possible results. After setting the persona, we simply explain what we want to accomplish and what our goal is. When you are writing a prompt, you can also specify the exact output format you want the AI to follow. If you don't specify anything, the AI will generate its default response, which may not be what you are looking for. In this example, I tell Gemini that when the expert niche blogger identifies low competition niches, it should return only 3 high CPC niches within the technology industry. Then I ask it to provide 5 high intent article ideas for each niche, the categories and pages needed for Google AdSense approval, and effective ad placement strategy. After that, Gemini lets us choose between several AI models. These models are free to use, although they have usage limits. For this task, I selected the Pro model because it is better for deep research and complex reasoning. I also changed the thinking level to extended to get more detailed and accurate answers. The faster models are excellent for quick questions, but when you are solving more complex problems, Gemini 3.1 Pro performs much better. As you can see, Gemini explains that general technology traffic usually generates low advertising revenue. That's true because topics like coding tutorials are often read by students, and many of them don't have much purchasing power since they are still learning. On the other hand, topics like enterprise cloud solutions attract professional developers, IT managers, and businesses. These readers usually have jobs, company budgets, and purchasing authority, making them much more valuable to advertisers. So within the technology niche, the more specialized and business focused your content is, the more likely you are to attract professionals with higher commercial intent. Gemini then recommends 3 high-value technology niches. The first is cloud computing and enterprise software as a service. The main goal of this niche is to create content that helps businesses reduce their cloud infrastructure costs, improve performance, and choose the right cloud services. The second niche is cybersecurity and data privacy. This is another highly valuable niche because with AI becoming more common, both individuals and companies are increasingly concerned about protecting their data and systems from security threats. The third niche is financial tech and automated trading infrastructure. Advertisers in this space include enterprise software companies, cloud providers like AWS, financial technology companies, and infrastructure providers. They are willing to pay hundreds of dollars for a single ad click because one new customer can be worth thousands or even millions of dollars over time. Next, Gemini provides a content strategy. It suggests 5 high-intent article topics specifically designed to attract visitors who are likely to see high-paying advertisements. These are the blog posts we can publish on our website to generate high-value AdSense revenue. Then Gemini recommends the site architecture. Before approving a website, Google AdSense manually reviews important compliance pages. Pages such as About Us, Contact, Privacy Policy, and Terms and Conditions are essential. Finally, Gemini recommends the best ad placement strategy. The top locations include below the first or second paragraph, in the middle of the article using in-feed ads, inside a sticky sidebar on desktop, and as a sticky banner at the bottom of the screen on mobile devices. Great! Now, out of those 3 niches, I'm going to choose cloud computing and enterprise software as a service. Next, I ask Gemini to act as an SEO expert and niche research specialist. I ask it to suggest 5 specific sub-niches within cloud computing and enterprise software as a service that have low competition and are suitable for a brand new website. I also ask it to provide a detailed profile of the target audience, including their job titles, pain points, and the exact questions they search for online. Finally, I ask for help choosing a blog name and SEO-friendly taglines that can strengthen my brand and improve my search engine visibility. Gemini then suggests several possible sub-niches. The first one is Fine Ops and Cloud Cost Optimization for Startups. This niche focuses on creating content that teaches startups how to reduce their cloud computing costs, optimize their infrastructure, and avoid unnecessary spending on cloud services. The second niche is open source software as a service alternatives. and self-hosting. This is about helping people replace expensive software as a service products with more affordable open source or self-hosted solutions. For example, using Supabase instead of Firebase or hosting applications on your own infrastructure to reduce long-term costs. The next niche is software as a service integrations and workflow automation pipelines. This focuses on showing businesses how to connect different software as a service applications together and automate repetitive tasks, helping teams save time and improve productivity. Another niche is lean cloud compliance. This is about helping startups and small businesses meet security and compliance requirements such as GDPR, SOC2, or ISO standards without spending a fortune on enterprise solutions. The last niche is multi-cloud management for small businesses. This focuses on helping companies manage applications across multiple cloud providers such as AWS, Google Cloud, and Azure, while reducing costs, improving reliability, and avoiding dependence on a single provider. Gemini also provides a target reader profile. For this niche, the ideal audience includes DevOps engineers and cloud architects, software as a service founders and CTOs, IT managers, finance analysts. These are exactly the kinds of professionals that advertisers want to reach because they have purchasing power and often influence business decisions. The AI also identifies their main pain points. The first one is surprise cloud bills. Many companies spend thousands of dollars every month on cloud services and are constantly looking for ways to reduce those costs. Another major problem is integration issues. They often struggle to connect different tools, services, and cloud platforms together. The next pain point is compliance concerns. Their customers require security certifications and regulatory compliance, but achieving those standards can be difficult and expensive. Finally, many businesses feel locked into a software as a service provider that keeps increasing its prices, making it difficult and costly to switch to another solution. Gemini also tells us exactly what these professionals search for on Google. For example, how to reduce AWS NAT gateway idle costs, Supabase production deployment checklist Docker, HubSpot to AWS RDS automated sync tutorial. These are real search queries from people actively looking for solutions. We also asked Gemini to suggest some brand names, and it provides several names that we can use for our website. Next, I'm going to choose one of these sub-niches and ask Gemini to generate 15 long-tail keywords. For each keyword, I ask it to include the exact search phrase, the type of Google AdSense advertisers that article is likely to attract, a content angle that solves the reader's specific problem. Once again, I'll use the Gemini Pro module with the extended thinking option enabled. Gemini then generates some complete list of long-tail keywords along with the exact search phrases, the target AdSense advertisers, and a one-sentence content angle for each article. Now I'm going to ask Gemini to create a wireframe blueprint for a typical blog post page. The AI generates some complete desktop layout. It recommends some two-column where about 70% of the page is dedicated to the main content and the remaining spaces used for the sidebar. The main content area keeps the technical article left aligned for better readability, while the sidebar contains useful widgets that remain visible. Gemini also provides a separate wireframe optimized for mobile devices. Next, I'm going to ask Gemini to generate an image of this desktop wireframe. To make Gemini generate an image, you can either include that request directly in your prompt or simply select the image tool. Gemini then generates the wireframe image. At the top, we have the website header. On the left is the main article containing the text paragraphs. Right after the second paragraph, there is another ad appears after the fifth paragraph. On the right side is the sidebar. At the top, we have a top post section followed by a search bar. Finally, there is a large advertisement that should remain sticky. A sticky ad means that as the user scrolls down the page, the advertisement stays visible instead of disappearing, giving it more opportunities to be seen and clicked. Great. Now, I'm also going to ask Gemini to generate a wireframe image for the mobile version of the website. Make sure to download all of the generated images because you'll need them later when we design our website using Google Stitch. Now that we have an idea of what both the desktop and mobile versions of our blog should look like, we can ask Gemini to generate the content for our compliance pages, which are important for both SEO and Google AdSense approval. Gemini generates the complete content for the privacy policy and cookie policy. Simply copy the generated text, go back to the notebook homepage, click Add Sources, choose Copied Text, paste the content and save it. Now also upload the two wireframe images we generated earlier for both the desktop and mobile layouts. Next, I'm going to ask Gemini to review our open source self-hosting blog project and generate a final planning report. In this report, I asked it to include the folder structure for our Next.js project, the JSON LD schema template that we should inject into our page headers. Before we continue, let's briefly explain what JSON LD is. JSON LD, which stands for JavaScript Object Notation for Linked Data, is a standard format for adding structured data to web pages. It allows search engines like Google as well as AI systems to better understand the content of your website. This structured data can also help your pages appear as rich results in Google search, making them more attractive and increasing the chances that users will click on them. Gemini then generates a complete project structure for an SEO and AdSense optimized blog. For example, it recommends organizing the project with the main application layout, the home page, compliance pages grouped together, category pages, blog pages, and the rest of the application structure. It also generates some typical JSON LD objects that we can include in our pages. Finally, Gemini provides some section called gaps to address before coding. This section highlights important implementation details that we should not overlook. For example, it recommends delaying the loading of Google AdSense ads until the user accepts the cookie policy. It also explains the correct way to load the AdSense script using the HTML script tag. Finally, it provides recommendations for improving CLS or cumulative layout shift, which is one of Google's core web vitals. Keeping CLS low prevents page elements from unexpectedly moving while the page is loading, resulting in a much better user experience. Copy all of this information and add it to your notebook as another source because we'll use it later during development. Next, we are going to generate a PRD for our project. A PRD or Product Requirements Document is a document that clearly describes everything needed to build a project. It outlines the project's goals, features, technical requirements, user experience, and overall implementation plan so that everyone involved knows exactly what needs to be built. I'm going to specify exactly what I want the POD to contain. First, I ask for the project overview and objectives. Then I ask for the target audience and their core pain points. Next, I request the recommended tech stack and overall system architecture. After that, I ask for the UI UX blueprint, including the ad placement strategy. Finally, I ask for the Google AdSense compliance and trust requirements. Since I want the most accurate and detailed response possible, I will once again select the Gemini Pro model. Gemini then generates a complete POD. You can save it as plain text if you want. You can also ask Gemini to generate the document as both a PDF and a markdown MD file. Here is the PDF generated by Gemini. Go ahead and download it, then save it in your project workspace because we'll use it throughout the rest of this course. Congratulations, you did the first step, which is planning the project. Now it is time to design the UI of your app. For that, we will be using Google Stage. Google Stage is an AI-powered UI design tool from Google that lets you create user interfaces using natural language prompts. Instead of designing everything manually, you simply describe what you want and the AI generates the interface for you. So go to their website and log in with your Google account. Here is what the homepage looks like. On the left side, you have your project list and the projects you have shared with friends. In the middle, there is the chatbot that will allow us to generate UIs. Google Stage is like an AI designer that can help us design the UI interfaces of our app just by using prompts. Here, we can ask the AI anything we want. For example, build a responsive modern Next.js tech blog layout for an open source self-hosting niche website named SaaS Staker. The layout must prioritize high-paying AdSense ad placement and follow strict cumulative layout shifts (CLS), preventing rules. Generate the desktop wireframe screen first, utilizing a two-column layout. On the left, the main content column, 70 width. On the right, the sidebar with 30% width. Then also generate the mobile UI as a separate single column layout. This is very important later for generating web pages with Tailwind CSS in Antigravity. I also tell the AI to apply Tailwind CSS configurations and use a default font size of 18 pixels with a 1.6 line height for great readability. Then comes the most important part, the model selection. Google Stage provides several models such as Gemini 3 Flash for high-quality HTML designs. This model is best when you want fast UI generation and quick iterations while still producing clean modern layouts. There is also Gemini 3.1 Pro, which prioritizes maximum quality and reasoning over speed. This model is best for complex interfaces, detailed design systems, and when you want the AI to better understand your requirements before generating the design. Another option is Redesign, which uses the Nano Banana Pro module. This is best when you already have an existing design and want the AI to improve, modernize, or redesign it while keeping its original structure. The last option is Ideate. This mode is used for brainstorming and exploring different UI concepts before creating the final design. I'm going to select Gemini 3.1 Pro and then validate. Google Stage starts thinking and designing the UI we asked for. On the left, we can see the generation process. In the middle, there is a canvas. This is the UI design area. Google Stage will display our UI there. At first, it will generate the design system. A design system is a collection of reusable design rules such as colors, typography, spacing, buttons, and components that keep every page of the application visually consistent. The design has default colors and default typography because we didn't specify our own in the prompt. But no worries, because we can edit the design system to better fit our project. Then on the left, it starts designing our layouts. The first one is the desktop version. The second one is the mobile version. You can use your mouse buttons to zoom in and zoom out. To change the design system values, simply select the Select tool from the toolbar, then click on the design system. The layout is well designed with 2 columns. On the left is the main content, on the right is the sidebar with the AdSense section. On mobile, the sidebar is hidden, but the AdSense section is fixed at the bottom. Now, as you can imagine, the website will have many pages, not just one page. It will have a home page, a categories page, a post page, and so on. So how do we manage this in Google Stage? Simple. As we do in most design applications, we just need to create more frames on the same canvas. So how do we do that using prompts? I'm simply going to tell the AI, do not overwrite or existing work. Append the remaining page routes below the canvas. Google Stage will interpret this prompt by keeping the existing designs untouched and generating the new requested pages underneath the current frames, extending the same canvas instead of replacing anything. I'm also going to specify that it should generate both a desktop and a mobile version for each layout. We are going to start with the home page layout. Then click Generate. The AI will append the new layouts to the canvas just below the previous layouts. Now, here is something very important to consider. Google Stage is free with limited credits. When using the free version, the better approach is to generate layouts one by one. So instead of generating 3 layouts at the same time, build one layout first, then the next one, and so on. This is why I am building each page layout one by one. If you try to generate everything at once, the AI may get stuck and you will have to try again. So the AI generated the homepage layout with both mobile and desktop versions. Next, we are going to generate the category list page layout. Then the single category page layout. And finally, the product list page layout. Once all the layouts are done, we can rename the project properly. Then we will move to Antigravity to integrate this UI into real web pages. Go to Antigravity website and download the application. Antigravity is an AI-powered development environment that helps transform UI designs into production-ready code, making it easier to build complete web applications from your designs. We also need to use OpenCode. OpenCode is the open source AI coding agent that runs inside your terminal, but also offers a desktop application and integrates directly into major code editor like VS Code, Antigravity, and more. To install it, simply copy the installation command, open Antigravity, then open the integrated terminal by clicking the terminal menu at the top and selecting New Terminal. Paste the open code installation command and run it. This installs open code globally so that you can use it anywhere on your computer. After the installation completes, run open code. Here is what it looks like. This is the chat input where we can send prompts to the AI. To test it, simply type hello. If it responds correctly, it means open code is using its default module, Big Pickle. Big Pickle is a free high-performance stealth AI coding model. It is known for dynamically routing requests through powerful open-weight models such as GLM 5.2 and DeepSeek. It is completely free and includes a standard limit of approximately 200 requests every 5 hours. However, there is a privacy trade-off. Since your prompts may be used to evaluate and improve the routing system, you should avoid sharing confidential customer data, private corporate information, or secret API keys while using it. If you are working on a serious production project, you may prefer using a paid model. Big Pickle is heavily integrated as the default testing model for open code. But this is not the only model you can use. Of course, there are many free and paid models available. For paid models, you can use providers such as OpenAI and many others. You can even use models through OpenRouter. To configure these paid models, simply add the API key provided by your AI provider. OpenCode also allows you to connect MCP servers. Simply run the command /mcp and you'll see the list of configured MCPs. Great! Now, the reason why you need to combine Antigravity and OpenCode together is that Antigravity also provides free AI models, but the rate limits are very low. After just a few prompts, you may hit the rate limit very quickly. Besides that, it only provides a few free models. For example, we have GPT open source software 120 billion parameter, which you can also use. However, to get access to more tokens in Antigravity, you will need to upgrade your plan. Because of this, if you want to use AI for free, it is better to combine Antigravity with open code. Great. Now let's start working. The first thing to do is retrieve all the page layouts we created in our Google Stage project. To do that, we need to connect Antigravity to Google Stage, and this is where MCP comes in. We are going to use the Google Stage MCP to access our project and retrieve all of our layouts. First, in Antigravity, click the 3 dots, then select MCP servers. Search for Stage, click it, and then click Install. In your case, it may show not installed. After installation, we need to add our Google Stage MCP key provided by Google Stage. Go to your Google Stage dashboard, then go to Account Settings. Scroll down to the MCP Setup section. Select the coding agent Antigravity, then copy the API key and paste it here. Wait until it finishes saving. Then go back to the chat interface. We are going to test it to make sure it is working. Ask the AI to list your Google Stage projects. Great. If you see your project listed, it means your AI is successfully connected to your Google Stage MCP. Next, make sure to copy the ID of the project you are working on. Then tell the AI to fetch all of your page layouts from that project ID. In our project, we actually created 5 layouts. Be sure to specify exactly which layouts you want to retrieve, especially if the project contains many more. Before we continue, we need to initialize our project because we are going to store our Google Stage files inside the current project. Open the terminal again, then import the boilerplate project. To build an application, you usually start with what is called a boilerplate. A boilerplate is a pre-configured project template that already contains the essential project structure, dependencies, configuration, and best practices, allowing you to start building immediately instead of starting from scratch. A boilerplate is useful because it gives your application a solid foundation. You are not starting from scratch. You can find the boilerplate by clicking the first link in the description. The boilerplate uses Next.js for both the frontend and backend, GraphQL as the API layer, Prisma with PostgreSQL for the database, and Auth for authentication. However, for this project, we are going to use Supabase to handle the backend, the database, authentication, and storage all in one platform. So we will update this boilerplate later while developing the application. What is important is that the boilerplate is already configured for agentic development. You'll find the Cloud Agent file with all the necessary project setup, technology stack, architecture, coding rules, and development guidelines needed to build applications quickly. Inside the .cloud folder, you will also find multiple agents and sub-agents that are already configured and ready to use. Now let's move on. Open the terminal and run open code. After importing the boilerplate into Antigravity, the first thing you should do is make open code understand your project. For that, run the command /init. The /init command analyzes your project and generates the initial AI memory and project contexts. It helps open code understand your project's structure, technologies, coding conventions, and architecture so it can provide much more assistance throughout development. Now go back to Antigravity chat interface and continue extracting our layouts. Tell the AI to retrieve the layouts from this project ID. Ask it to extract the raw HTML layout and component structure for all of our visual pages and save them into a new local directory named HTML wireframe. We are basically going to generate HTML files for each page layout. Then we will also extract our design system code. Next, we are going to use plan mode. Plan mode is useful because instead of immediately modifying files, the AI first analyzes the request, breaks it into clear implementation steps, and lets you review the plan before any code is generated to approve each action. First, it creates a folder called HTML wireframes at the root of the project. Inside it, it creates the design tokens.json file that I asked it to generate. Then it asks me to either accept or reject the action. After approval, it creates all 5 HTML files corresponding to a page layout. We can open each one individually to inspect them. We can also preview the result directly in the browser. That is awesome, right? Now that we have all of the HTML and Tailwind CSS extracts from our layouts, we can begin the development phase. For that, we are going to take our POD file from Gemini and add it to the project so that OpenCode understands exactly what we are building. Inside the docs/development folder, create a text file called pod.txt. Paste the pod content into it and save the file. After that, tell OpenCode to read the pod. In OpenCode, you can directly attach files from the terminal. Simply type @ and then select your file from the list. We are going to tell OpenCode to read the pod file and update its memory so that every future prompt automatically includes this information in its context. By default, OpenCode stores this information inside agents.md. It will automatically add the pod content to that file. If we open agents.md, we can see that it has been updated. Now, the next step is to integrate our front-end design system, including colors, typography, and fonts. Here, I tell the AI, act as a lead front-end engineer specializing in the Next.js app router and Tailwind CSS version 4, and synchronize our global layout and design architecture directly with the configuration specified in the design tokens.json file. I also specified exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to extract the exact font names, typography skills, color palette, and style rules, then update the following 3 files: fonts.ts, globals.css, and layouts.ts. The AI then performs the work. Here we can see that it added two fonts inside fonts.ts file. Then it configured those font variables inside globals.css. It also added our primary and secondary color palette. Inside layouts.ts, it imports those fonts correctly. That is great. Now let's move on. We can now start implementing the front-end pages. We'll begin by implementing just one page so we can see how the AI performs the task. I tell the AI to use agents.md for the strict layout rules, locked AdSense container aspect ratios, and project conventions. I don't actually have to specify this because OpenCode automatically reads this file for every request, but I include it anyway. I also ask the AI to read the page.md guidelines. This file acts as the page creation guide for the boilerplate. It contains the best practices and rules for creating Next.js server component pages. I also provide the raw HTML and Tailwind CSS code that we extract earlier from Google Stage. To build this front-end page, I want the AI to use a reusable container component that provides the common page structure. The AI updates the landing page. This component correctly uses a reusable container component. That is great. The reason you currently see red lines is simply because we haven't installed the project dependencies yet. There are two ways to do this. You can ask the AI to install them for you. It will automatically open a terminal and run commands such as burn, install, or npm install. Or you can do it yourself by opening a new terminal and running burn, install. If you are not familiar with these commands, I recommend simply asking the AI to install the dependencies and start the application for you. It performs exactly the same steps automatically. Now we can continue. The next page we are going to implement is the single post page. We will follow exactly the same workflow. We specify agents.md, the page.md guidelines, and provide the raw HTML for the single post page. This page contains both a header and a footer. So we instruct the AI to create those components separately inside a new custom folder within the components directory. This allows us to reuse them across multiple pages. I also ask it to move the existing add unit component from the landing folder into the custom folder because these components should also be reusable across the entire application. Finally, I provide the raw HTML content of the page. I also instruct the AI to use the code block component whenever technical content needs to be displayed. It is done. Let's check the workflow. First, it moved the add unit component to the custom folder. Then we imported it into the landing page. Next, it created the header and footer components for the single post page. Then it created the code block component. I also told the AI to update the landing page so it uses our new reusable header and footer components. Finally, it created the post page and its corresponding component. The single post page looks good. Now we can tell the AI to create the post list page using the same prompt as before. The AI completed the post list page. First, it created terming data inside lib data archive.ts file. Then it created the required components and the server component page for the post list. Inside the page, it also generated SEO metadata. In the archive client component, it reused the header and footer components. The next page is the category field. We are going to use exactly the same prompt. The AI starts implementing the new page. It creates all the required files, runs the build, checks for TypeScript syntax errors, fixes any issues, and so on. Let's see what it has done. First, it created the categories data. Then, it created the categories list page and its components. Here, we have an import issue. You can either ask the AI to solve the error by specifying the file name or simply hover over the import statement and fix it yourself. It also created a single category page, which is used to display all posts belonging to a specific category. Now we have completed all of our pages: home page, post list, single post, categories list, posts by category. Now we want to create a reusable skill that allows us to build new pages quickly without repeating the same instructions every time. A skill is a reusable set of instructions, best practices, project rules, and workflows that the AI can automatically apply whenever you invoke it. Instead of rewriting long prompts, you simply call the skill and the AI follows all of the predefined guidelines. For that, I simply tell the AI to convert our architectural blueprint layout rules, component boundaries, and access compliance requirements into a permanent reusable workspace skill. Then I specify all the rules it should follow and all the files it should use when creating new pages, such as the reusable container, header, and footer components. I also specify all the AdSense guidelines, layout rules, ad placements, and everything else needed to make the skill complete, reusable, and independent. At the end, I tell the AI to store that skill in its memory bank. Open code stores workspace skills at the user workspace level. rather than inside the current project. This allows you to reuse the same custom instructions, scripts, and domain knowledge across multiple projects without duplicating files. If you want the skills to be available only for the current project, simply tell the AI that the skills should only be used in this project. In that case, OpenCode will store it inside the project's OpenCode/skills folder instead of making it globally available. While creating the skill, OpenCode asks for permission. I simply select always so I don't have to approve the same permission again in the future. The AI successfully created the skill. We can find it inside the Generate TBC page folder. Inside that folder, there is a file called skill.md. If we open it, we can see that it contains the skill name or description and the skill tags. It also explains what the skill does. Next, it defines all of the skill rules, including how to structure front-end pages, what should be included in every page, and how to organize client components for server component pages. It specifies all of the reusable components that should be used, such as the container, header, and footer. It also includes the recommended development guidelines for creating clean and well-structured components. Finally, it defines the strict architectural rules that must always be respected. At the end of the file, it explains how to invoke the skill. We can simply type @skills followed by the skill name inside the chat. Or we can run the command /skills and search for the skill by name. Of course, whenever you install a new skill, agent, or any other extension, you need to refresh your terminal. This simply means ending the current terminal session and starting a new one. Otherwise, OpenCode may tell you that it cannot find your newly created skill. To do that, quit your current OpenCode session using the /quit command. Then start a new OpenCode session. Now run the command /skills again. As you can see, our skill is now available. Let's test it by creating another page. This time, we are going to create a compliance page, such as the terms of service page. The skill will automatically follow all of its predefined guidelines. The AI created both the terms page and the terms content component. Let's check the result. We have the terms page. We also have the client component. It correctly imports some reusable container components. The next step is to run the application using burn dev. This allows us to test the application ourselves. Open HTTP localhost 3000. Here we can see that the application requires Clock API keys. For this project, we are eventually going to use Supabase for authentication, the database, storage, and the backend. However, for now, we are simply going to configure clock so the boilerplate can run. The boilerplate is currently configured to use clock authentication. We'll replace it with Supabase later, so don't worry. Go to clock.com and create an account. From your dashboard, create a new application. Enter an application name, choose your preferred sign-in methods, and click Create. Then go back to the dashboard, navigate to Configure, then API keys. Open your projects.m file and replace the existing clock keys with your own. If the .m file does not exist, simply create one. Then copy the contents of the .m example file located at the root of the project and paste them into your new .m file. Now go back to the browser and refresh the page. Here we can see the home page of our application. We also have the categories page, the single category page, the post list page, and the single post page. Great! Now we have all of our pages. However, there are still a few improvements we need to make. First, we want to rename guides to posts. We also need to add all of the missing navigation links. The avatar inside the About, the Editor section is not horizontally aligned. That section also needs additional top margin. Some pages are still missing the reusable header and footer components. There is also an error in the category feed page. What next? We need to implement the mobile menu. This will be added to the header component. Now we can use the mobile menu to navigate throughout the website. Great. Now let's create the other compliance pages such as the About page, Contact page, Privacy, Policy, and Terms of Service. The AI did a great job. Let's check the About page, then the Contact page, and finally the Terms of Service page. There is one missing point. On the About page, it forgot to include the header and footer components. It also forgot to include the same components on the Terms page. Everything looks good for now. We have now built all the pages needed for our visitors. The next step is to make all of these pages dynamic by loading real posts and real categories, while also allowing you to create your own posts from an admin dashboard. For that, we are going to use Supabase. Supabase is an open source backend as a service platform that provides a PostgreSQL database, authentication, storage, serverless functions, and real-time APIs, allowing you to build complete backends without managing your own infrastructure. We are going to use the Supabase MCP to build our backend without relying on AI-generated backend code. Go to Supabase documentation. Here you can see that it provides clear documentation explaining how to configure the MCP for your coding assistant. In our case, we want to configure it with open code, so choose open code. Then simply copy the Supabase MCP configuration. Go back to Antigravity, create a file named opencode.json at the root of the project. Paste the Supabase MCP configuration into that file. After that, go back to the Supabase documentation, copy the provided command, and paste it into your terminal. This command allows the OpenCode MCP client to securely access your Supabase project throughout the MCP server. Before doing that, you'll need to either log in or create a new account, a new Supabase account. Go ahead and create a new account, then create a new project. After that, run the command again. Authorize OpenCode to access your Supabase project. Once access has been granted, return to the OpenCode CLI and run the /mcp command. You should now see that the Supabase MCP has been configured successfully. Now we can begin implementing our backend. This is where things start getting really interesting. The first thing I ask the AI to do is list all of my Supabase projects. Then I tell it to select one project as the current project. Since I only have one project, I can simply tell the AI to use that one. Otherwise, make sure you specify the project ID in your prompt so the AI doesn't accidentally select the wrong project. Next, I paste my first backend prompt. This time, I switch to plan mode because I want every important action to be reviewed before the AI generates any code. From the terminal, simply press the Tab key to switch from build mode to plan mode. Then press Enter. I ask the AI to act as a Supabase expert and a Next.js backend SRE and to architect generate and execute a complete production-ready backend migration strategy and database schema for our AdSense optimized technical blog. The AI first analyzes our project and propose an implementation strategy. Here is the workflow. The first question is about the architecture strategy. Our current project uses a specific architecture based on cloud authentication, Prisma, and GraphQL. Since Supabase will now handle everything, we need to migrate to a completely new architecture. The AI offers several options. I can completely replace the existing architecture, use Supabase only for the database while keeping cloud authentication, use Supabase alongside the current architecture, or provide a custom answer. In my case, I choose to completely replace the existing architecture and use Supabase for the database, authentication, storage, and backend services. So click the first option. Your choices may be different, but make sure you understand what each option means before continuing. The next step is choosing the data fetching strategy. Data fetching simply refers to the way your application retrieves data from the database before displaying it to users. For a blog, choosing the right strategy is important because it directly affects performance, SEO, page loading speed, and how fresh your content is. The AI suggests several options. The first one is fully dynamic data from Supabase. The second is static generation with Supabase administration. The third is server-side rendering with Supabase. I choose server-side rendering with Supabase because it gives us the flexibility to use server components, supports incremental static regeneration where appropriate, and allows us to efficiently serve dynamic content while maintaining excellent performance. The next step is selecting the authentication provider. We are currently using Clock. Since we are migrating completely to Supabase, I select Migrate to Supabase Auth. This replaces the existing Clock authentication architecture. The next step is the schema scoop. My project still contains some old database schemas. The AI asks whether I want to keep them or completely remove them and only keep the blog related tables. I choose blog tables only. The final step is confirmed. The AI is now ready to implement the backend architecture, database schema, migrations, and APIs. Since we are still in plan mode, the AI asks for confirmation before making important changes. For example, it asks whether I want to keep the existing admin dashboard pages and legacy features. Legacy features will completely remove the old Prisma, GraphQL, Clock, and Cloudinary code. I choose to remove everything related to the old architecture and keep only the blog-focused implementation. the AI generates the complete implementation plan. First, it will uninstall unnecessary packages and install the new dependencies. Then it will create the Supabase client utilities. Next, it generates all of the SQL migration files. After that, it applies those migrations directly to our online Supabase database through the MCP. I also asked it to generate seed data for post-send categories, so we immediately have test content inside the blog. Now I approve the plan. Before execution, switch back to build mode by pressing the tab key again. Then tell the AI to proceed with the approved plan. Once the migration is complete, we can quickly review the generated files. It created the pages. It generated the Supabase migrations. It created the seed data. It also rewrote the middleware using the new Supabase server client. Here is the home page. It uses the Supabase client to connect to the database. It retrieves all posts from the posts table. It also retrieves profile information from the profiles table. Finally, it renders only the latest 6 posts on the home page. It also generated all of the blog pages, the post list page, the categories pages. I think the ads.txt file location may be a small bug. It also generated the robots.txt and the website map. These are very important for SEO and Google AdSense. We also have all of the authentication pages as well as all of the compliance pages. The main application layout automatically integrates the Supabase provider. That is an excellent result. Now let's run the application using Burn Dev. Then open localhost 3000. Here is the home page. Here are the categories pages, the single category page and the posts page. If you look at the database, we can see that 5 sample posts have already been inserted. Click View in Table Editor to inspect the data. Great. Before continuing, make sure you save your project to GitHub. You can use OpenCode together with the GitHub MCP, or you can simply use Antigravity's built-in GitHub integration to automatically push your code to GitHub. Now let's go back to the home page and check the other pages. Here is the single post page. Inside the main content, we have the article. After the second section of the content, we have an AdSense block. On the right sidebar, we have the search bar and the top posts widgets. At the bottom, we have another AdSense block. We also have the categories page and the single category page. Next, we have all of the compliance pages about contact, privacy policy, and terms of service. Great. Now let's move on. I'm going to ask the AI to build the admin dashboard so we can manage profiles, posts, categories, and blog settings. The AI has already built the user login page. However, we also need a dedicated login page for administrators. For that, I provide another specific prompt. I also switched the chat back into plan mode. The AI proposes a complete implementation plan for the admin dashboard, covering both the front-end and back-end. It finishes planning the feature. Let's review it. First, it updates the database schema by creating a new migration. It adds an is admin field, distinguish administrators from regular users. Next, it defines the admin dashboard structure. Then it explains the data flow. It lists all of the migration files that will be created. Great, let's switch back to build mode and approve the plan. Once the AI finishes building everything, let's review the results. We now have the dashboard page, the login page, the profile page, the settings page. It also generated the API routes. As well as the admin posts form and the posts management page. Now let's open the admin login page to test it. Next, I ask the AI to create an administrator user inside the Supabase database and return the login credentials. Once the administrator account has been created, copy the required environment variable. To obtain its value, open your Supabase dashboard, go to Settings, API Keys. Under Legacy API Keys, copy the service role secret key. Add it to your .env file. Now return to the admin login page and try signing in. It doesn't work. I tell the AI I added the key, but I still cannot log in with these credentials. The AI investigates the problem. It reports that the user has now been recreated correctly, including the required auth.identities records. It asks me to try again. We can also enable Google sign-in. Go to the Google Cloud Console, create a new Auth client ID. For the authorized JavaScript origin, add localhost 3000. For the authorized redirect URL, add the Supabase redirect URL. Save the configuration. Copy the generated credentials. Go to your Supabase dashboard. Navigate to Authentication, then Sign-in Providers. Select Google. Paste the credentials and save. Now users can sign in using their Google accounts. After successfully signing in with Google, let's test the email and password login again. Now we have access to the admin dashboard. Let's open the post creation page. To quickly create a simple article, I go back to Gemini to ask it to generate some blog content. For the featured image, I use an image from Unsplash. Then I save the post. The post was successfully created. Now let's edit it. The edit page still needs some improvements. It is missing the sidebar and the top navigation bar. While the AI is fixing everything, we can continue editing the post. Publish it and verify that it appears on the home page. Great. Now let's check the setting page. Then the profile page, the user profile information is currently empty. That's another issue to fix. We also need a sign-in link so users can easily navigate to the login page. Let's also verify that the settings page can be edited. The AI creates the user profile button. I also add the sign out functionality. Users can now view and edit their own profiles. Let's try signing out and logging back in. Awesome. Everything works perfectly. Now, the final step is deploying our application to Vercel. Create or login to your Vercel account, then open code and configure the Vercel MCP. Run the command to authenticate open code with Vercel and granted permission to access your Vercel account. After that, restart open code. Run the /mcp command to verify that the Vercel MCP has been configured correctly. Next, ask the AI to retrieve your Vercel projects. Before creating a new project, you will need to generate a Vercel access token. Go to your Vercel dashboard, open your profile settings, navigate to tokens, create a new token for your team. Copy the token, add it to your projects.m file. Now ask the AI to create a new Vercel project for this application. You can tell it to name it SaaS Stack, SAS, Staker, or any name you prefer. Also, tell it to use the Vercel token stored in your .m file. Finally, ask it to return the production deployment URL. Since the AI needs to read your environment variables, it will ask for a permission. Once approved, it reads the Vercel configuration, retrieves your team information, creates the project, configures the environment variables, sets the build options, and deploys the entire application online. When everything is complete, you'll receive the production URL. Simply open it, go to the admin login page, sign in. Great, amazing. We have successfully built a complete full-stack blog application including the front-end, back-end, database, authentication system, and deployment. Now it is your turn. First, purchase a domain name, then start publishing content on your blog. Next, sign up for Google Analytics so you can monitor your traffic. Once your blog starts receiving visitors, apply for Google AdSense. You can continue improving your blog by asking the AI to suggest additional features to implement. If you want all of the resources, source code, AI prompts, and support to help you build your own blog, you'll find the link in the description.